Facebook, Instagram, Roman Christian, everybody in the building. What's happening, Roman? What's good with you,
What's
man?
happening?
What's
What's
good with you?
happening? Facebook, social media world.
You loud. I don't know if it's your microphone when you just come across loud. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, bro.
I don't
And
know.
people need to hear me, bro. Maybe. I think you need to turn yours up because I can barely hear you.
For real?
Yeah.
So, okay, well, I'm up.
So
It's
what's
all
going
right like
on
that.
out there, social media? You're
Hey,
watching or listening to Always at Odds.
yeah, well, tell O to make sure that he went live on the thing because I don't see it yet. You know what I'm saying? I don't see it yet, but
You still sound a little distant, by the way.
well, I'm 3,000 miles away. I'm out here in Arizona right today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
So out here trying to do what's
What,
necessary to
but
get
why you
done.
dressed like it's like 30 degrees out there, man? Aren't you
It's
in the desert?
yeah, but it's like 64 degrees right now, 65 or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little.
Oh, okay.
It got a little chill to it or something. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But
you used to be a Washingtonian because you now a little punk, man. You get 65 degrees. You talking about it's cold.
I mean, it gets 65 degrees can be cold, bro. I mean, you
Oh,
know what I'm saying?
whatever,
It
bro.
doesn't matter where I'm at. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
don't know what happened to you, man. You went west and went soft on me, man.
no, man, it's stuff we got to do. Hey, tell I don't see us on live. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you got a way to tell. I need them not. I'm telling Frank. I
Frank.
need to be live, man. Frank, where the Facebook live
Hey,
at, bro? I'm not
I
seeing it.
think I think this was the show they were gonna try to cut you off
Nah, I can't do
visually and show me.
that.
Because I can see myself live on
It's
here.
not. I see me. It's not the question. I don't see. I can't call out my fans, our fans that's on Facebook Live. You know what I'm saying? So I can't call them out. People might have questions like, "Crawl, why is Roman still on the show?" I mean, can you do something about that? You know what I'm saying?
Or why is Roman still looking like he in college? I mean, come on, bro. Say it.
You mean the time you used to go to the colleges to try to holler at the chicks, or are you talking about the
That too.
students? Huh?
That too. Yeah. Yeah.
No, that only. That only. You know what I'm saying? You forget I
Dude, I
know
don't
you.
know
You know
what
what
you're
I'm saying?
talking about, man. I was a
I'm
straight A
talking
student.
about no. You have an A in your name. That's about it. You know what I'm saying? So that's going on. What's happening out there, man? What's the weather like out there? You talking about the weather here? What's the weather out there?
It's actually it was a whopping 47, 48 degrees today. So it was basically sunbathing weather today compared to what it was the last few
Yeah.
days, man. It's been below freezing prior to today.
Yeah, I heard it was raining on and off.
Did you
You
miss
know,
the snow when you went to no
I
you
left. I saw. I left out in the snow. You know what I'm saying?
all
So
right.
you know, by the time I look like a fool coming in the airport because um when I got on when I got off the plane, I'm coming out of layers. You know what I'm saying? It's 75 when I land. Everybody else with shorts and everything else, and I'm coming out there with hoodies and hats, ear muffs, gloves, scarves, and all nine. They like, where this fool from? You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Then I got away from my buddy. I'm trying to take clothes off. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking like one of them little homeless dudes. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
So
see, you could have just stopped the sentence after you said I look like a fool.
no.
You
I
just,
had
you
to
could
put it
just
in
stop the
context.
sentence there. Everybody would have understood, man. It's all
People
good.
know it's Carl never looks like a fool. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? That's what it would have came out to. You know what I'm saying?
You
So
look like one, you act like one, you smell like
man,
one. You just a
boy,
plain old big fool.
no, that's you. That big head. That big
Oh,
headed
bruh.
ass.
Don't hate, bro. Look, I done shaved. I got a fresh shave over here. You see that?
I thought Janetti cut your hair. Janetti ain't cut you?
Nah, he just trimmed my beard up, man. He just
Okay.
sliced me up a little bit.
Shout out to John Eddie Barbershop. What's John Eddie's barbershop called, y'all?
Huh?
What's John Eddie's barbershop? I'm gonna do a free plug to him. You
It's
know what I'm
Home
saying?
Improvement JD, bro. He's no longer at the barber shop. He's doing it in his own home now, man.
Oh
So
really?
he done pimped his garage out, turned it to a barber shop.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he
Oh,
said, as a matter of fact, he said when you get back home, come see him.
JD always says that until I come up there and he got 20 people in line in front of me type. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Well,
like
now he's not, but he's doing it in his barber shop. So he still gets he gets a nice number of clientele, but it's not the same thing as going to visit him in the shop.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, man. So what do you think about those games last week, man?
Man, that was great there. I thought it was gonna get let down because of what happened the previous week. You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad. I'm glad for covering. I'm glad Kansas City lost because they spanked us. So anybody that beat them, I'm all for.
Oh, so 2 weeks later, now you're saying you got spanked. When I was saying you got spanked, you just want see you can't. Always at odds don't necessarily mean you just got to be a prick just because. When I was saying your team got spanked, it was no spanking. What are you talking about? It was no spanking.
It was a spanking. They beat us 42-21.
No, they more than beat you, bro. They spanked.
At least we got to play in the playoffs.
Dude,
did you?
See, again, dude.
Man,
you're the only Steelers fan.
And for those that don't know, the Washington football team, which used to be known as the Redskins, Boston Braves before that, you know what I'm saying? Now they have another name. They are called the Commanders, the Commandos or something?
Dude, I was hoping we didn't bring that up, bro. You just,
man.
Dude, I don't know how long it's going to take me to get used to saying that stupid ass name.
Right.
The Commanders, huh?
Commanders. I still don't.
Yeah. So that's one thing we'll agree on. That's a horrible name.
Right. For those who's watching on Facebook, I cannot see who's there, so I apologize in advance. I will keep checking. We got some technical difficulties. You know, when we're trying to do stuff 3,000 miles away, I do not see us on that. So,
that's actually kind of a good thing, man. Maybe then you could pay attention, so I won't be spanking you like I do on the show all the time.
Oh, shout out to Frank who just helped me out with it. You know what I'm saying? I still can't see who's in there, but anyway, I'm not worried about that.
Do the show, bro. Forget that.
Right, so I said all that. So yeah, let's get into it, bro. Always at odds. You know, for those just turning in, this is our every Thursday podcast we do, usually around 6:30 to 7:30. Talk about the discussions today and what's going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here with this fool Roman, who I've known for 40 plus years. And we're always at odds, which is the name of the show, because he's always wrong. You ever had that person that was always wrong at something? Roman.
Yeah, you. I met
Roman
you.
He's a lifelong loser. Roman would lose at anything that we do. Loser.
Your family always compliments me and tells me how you know I carry. Thank you for being your friend.
Man, please.
I mean, so you've been wrong.
Asked me, I said, why is Roman on the show? And I couldn't think of an answer for that. You know what I'm saying? I said, well, he begged me and all that. You know what I'm saying?
Dude,
so
man, whatever.
Yeah.
So before we get into it, man, we let everybody know we got a guest coming on a little later.
Right.
Last week we had a great guest who talked about teeth whitening and all the hygiene tips that she gave us. She was awesome.
So we're gonna switch it up this week. We got a title rep. A title rep is the person, the neutral party in a real estate transaction. So a lot of people don't know what they do and why they are part of that. It's an excellent. Well, it's not excellent. It's a mandatory part, depending on what state you are. You know what I'm saying? So it tells you that their role in a process. And so she's gonna come on. Her name is Anya. I've known Anya for years. She's in Arizona. She has her own title company called Canyon Title, and she'll be there to come in a few minutes and then get into what it is that the title people do to help you get into a home. Anybody have any questions? As always, my number will flash up there. You can call me for whatever. You know what I'm saying? If you want to ask me questions about real estate.
Dude.
I'm doing a selfish plug right now. So
dude.
Okay?
Well, you sound selfish plug, bro. You sound like you about to do 1-800 stuff, bro.
No,
call me for what? I mean, you insinuated. You just whatever. Like you selling something, bro.
Nah, I'm not selling.
This ain't that kind of show. See,
I'm selling knowledge. Anybody that wants to have a question about real estate, what my house is worth, what I got to do to get a house, how to get out this apartment rent, call me. I'm here to help you out. What is equity? How does it help you out? Anything real estate related, or that was my promotion for my boat one that y'all saw at the beginning. So anybody want to know how to get on the bay this year, let me know about that as well. That's a selfish plug.
Hey,
a day on the bay.
Just one more time for our producers. I don't know if y'all having a hard time hearing me, but Carlton's mic seems kind of low. Hopefully it doesn't impact the audio totally on the show. But all right, well, let's get to it. Before we get to it,
bro. Get into it.
All right. Well, before we get totally into it, we're going to talk about what we normally do now. We got this day in history. So today is February 3rd. Want to look at a couple things that happened. That's since we've been talking about football in 1912, all the sport, national NFL that everybody loves so much and is celebrated. And now we're about to go into the Super Bowl, not this weekend, but next weekend. In 1912, some major rules were changed. So on this day, the field was shortened to 100 yards. Now I couldn't find out.
It hasn't always been 100 yards.
No, prior to this day in 1912, it was longer than 100 yards. Now I couldn't find out how long, but it was shortened to in this day in 1912. In the year 1912. It was shortened to 100 yards. A touchdown started being counted as 6 points instead of 5.
Mm.
Then offenses were allowed at this point to have 4 downs instead of 3. And then the kickoff was moved from the midfield to the 40-yard line. The kickoff has been moved quite a bit. A few years ago, it was moved back, I think, to the 40-yard line where they have pushed it back for I guess like 10, 15 years to the 35-yard line. But yeah, so isn't that crazy? The field was longer at one point, over 100 yards.
Yeah, it was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then 6 points for a touchdown. I'm sorry, 5 points for a touchdown.
Yeah, but it's still 6 now. Yeah,
no, it's 6 now. That's what I'm saying. It started. The football league started counting touchdowns at 6 points. Started in 1912. February 3rd, 1912. Prior to that, it was only worth 5 points. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's strange.
So that explains. I don't know, because I used to always look at some of these low-scoring games back in the day when football first started. But that explained that because, dude, first of all, them dudes scoring touchdowns, they don't want to get 5 points for it.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess points is relevant at the same time, So. Yeah, that's 1912.
Yeah, 1912, bro. Yeah.
So how old is the NFL? I guess you don't know that.
I don't know. You the mathematician. To do 2022 subtract. You know what I mean?
Wasn't when it started. That's what I'm saying. You said it.
Oh, I don't know. I got that. I don't know.
Right. Okay. So maybe our producer, Mr. Frank, can tell us when football started. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, U.S. football is what it's called because I don't think it was called the NFL back then because remember that they had 2 different leagues for a while before they merged.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah. And just one person who had a famous birthday today. I don't know. Let me see if you because I know you're not always too hip with the young artists, man. You ever heard of Sean Kingston?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.
Don't be stupid all your life, Robert. Don't be stupid all your life, son. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, hey, bro. Look, you want me to put you on the spot and ask you what famous song does Sean Kingston sing?
Nah, don't put me on. So I ain't got his picture on my wall like I'm sure you do. I don't have that. He's not on my wall. He's not on my bedroom wall.
You are so beautiful.
Dude, let's do that, man. Not you, though. You cannot sing. Is there anything you can do?
Hey, bro. Remember, I used to be in the chorus. Remember, I had that solo.
No. Yeah,
it's okay. You can tell them. You can tell everybody.
NFL started in 1920. Well, then, if your rule change took place in 1912, and my producer Frank is telling me that NFL started in 1920, there's a problem there.
No, there isn't. Comprehension in listening has always been a challenge for you. I said U.S. football changed their rules in 1912, and I said it wasn't the NFL because that didn't merge till later. You don't remember that conversation?
Nah, no.
Hey, bro, we just had this conversation like 2 minutes ago. You forgot it that quickly?
That was a horrible on this day in history. I'm sure it's something else that happened. You know what I'm saying?
No. I was trying to keep something easy for you because I figured football you would understand that, and you still couldn't connect the fact. And I said U.S. football, not the NFL. You don't remember me saying that?
Anyway, what are we talking about today, dog? Right? It's time.
It's such a dingbat. So one other person, today, this whole month is Black History Month. even though her birthday is not today, I got to put a shout out and recognize Rosa Parks, who was born February 4th, 1913. You know, and you know, see, I know you're the historian here. You know who, you want to tell everybody who Rosa Parks was?
Rosa Parks is considered her event that she did. She was a part of the bus boycott in Montgomery in 1955 with Martin Luther King. She was a secretary for the NAACP. I'm not NAACP, for Martin Luther King. Mm-hmm. And she was coming home and refused to give up her seat on the bus. And as a result,
she refused to give her seat in the front of the bus to a white man.
Right, because blacks were required to sit in the back, where Roman sits now, as always has, and so she was quickly arrested. Now, a lot of people think that Rosa Parks was the first person to refuse to give her seat up. That is incorrect. I think the first person was a 16-year-old girl who was skipping school, and she refused to give her a seat, and they arrested her. But when Rosa Parks did it, they felt that they can run a movement with Rosa Parks because this is a church-going woman, worked for Martin Luther King, never did anything. I said never did. She did very little things wrong, and so therefore they decided, hey, you know, if this grandmother or this mother, this lady can get arrested for simply refusing to give up her seat, then we can hang our hopes on this one, on her, rather than someone else. But she was born on this day. Shout out to Miss Rosa Parks. Rosa, we love you. Thank you for everything done. As this is also Black History Month. We didn't even mention that. You know what I'm saying?
I did. Again, I just mentioned that.
Anyway, so
but let me segue a little bit to so obviously we wanted, it's Black History Month. It was great to honor her as part of this conversation because she played a very important role in one of the biggest movements into the civil rights movement. But one of the things I want to come back to with her in a second when we go into the next topic we're about to discuss is the whole movement for that started with Rosa Parks, where a bunch of African Americans boycotted the transportation business because they got tired of being treated like second-class citizens and having to be forced to sit in the back seat.
Yeah, I think you should tell them where it was because it wasn't all of America then going into this boycott. This is only in Montgomery.
No, go ahead, finish.
Right. So in Montgomery, Alabama. So Martin Luther King came up with the idea to boycott. Okay, so that required everyone to say we're gonna walk to work, we're gonna carpool, do whatever we got to do to get to work, but we will not use our money to Montgomery. Whatever the bus service was called, Montgomery Building. We will spend our money with that bus company, okay?
Until they allow us to sit wherever we want.
Right, and so the buses were always used, probably 50 or 60% were African Americans. What they didn't count on was how much of an effect it was going to be. The company, the bus company went bankrupt. You know what I'm saying? And as a result, they had to let blacks sit anywhere they went on the bus, as opposed to just sitting in the back. And it took a year, but as a result, we got what we wanted. You know what I'm saying? Which should have been done from day one. And that led to a lot of other cities copying that same boycott. And so therefore, it became now most sitting all after that, because they didn't want the same thing happening. They say, oh yeah, we got to allow that. So that was one of the first great events that we actually won. You know what I'm saying? And trying to get our civil rights, things that we've been fighting. We've been fighting for civil rights since since the day we came over here from.
Yeah, since forever.
Yeah, 1619 when we first arrived over here. You know.
Yeah. So and the key to that, one of the key of all that nonsense you just spewed, one of the key things that words that you use.
I was Rosa Parks nonsense.
No, I said I didn't say she was. I said some of the nonsense you were spewing there. My point is, one of the key words that you use that's significant is sacrifice.
Right.
So many people sacrifice for the greater good in order to make change for a group of black folks, right? For them to get to stop being mistreated as second-class citizens. So we're gonna come back to that in a second. I'm gonna connect the dots later. So our next topic, we want to talk. Have you been keeping up what's going on with the Brian Flores situation?
Yeah. A lot. I started reading a lot of it. I was shocked when I see. Well, let's tell everybody who Brian Flores is. Brian Flores is thank you, Frank, is the coach, former coach of the Miami Dolphins. It's his second year with the Dolphins. He had a winning record this year, and when they had on what they call Black Monday, which is the day when most NFL coaches get fired, everyone was shocked to see his name up there as well. And because he had a successful year for being a second-year coach, the first year they was like 5-11 or 5-12 or something like that, and then he improved it all the way to 9-5 this year. Just missed out being on the playoffs, and at the same time, this man got fired. You want to pick it up from there, sir?
Yeah, so he got fired. And so there's like, I believe 10 openings right now. Like Carlton said, right after the season ended, it was Black Monday for coaches. So he's interviewing. Everybody expects him to get a job because he was really successful.
Great coach. Players love playing for him.
Exactly.
Yeah, great.
So coach. he's going to an interview with the New York Giants, and the interview wasn't supposed to happen until a few days. Bill Belichick, the head coach for the New England Patriots, texted him and basically said, I heard you landed the job.
Hold on, before you do that, the reason why he would have Brian Flores' information.
Oh, hold on, dude. I'm gonna connect all that.
Okay,
I'll connect all that. So he's saying, I heard you landed the job. Brian Flores like, well, he texted him back and said, I don't interview until Thursday. And this text message was happening on Monday. And Brian Flores asks, well, do you know something that I don't know? He's like, yeah, the Giants love you. I'm hearing from Buffalo and Giants executives that they love you and they're giving you the job.
Okay.
He said, wait, coach, are you talking about Brian Flores or Brian? I forgot the other guy's name.
Daffodil or something like that.
The one that
got the job. Yeah,
that got the job. Right. So Coach Belichick looked at his text and is like, "Oh, damn, I effed this up."
Because he thought he was calling Brian Daffodil.
He was texting the wrong Brian.
Right.
And so he spilled the beans, basically saying that the Giants had already offered their head coaching job to another Brian. I think it's a C. I forget his last name.
It's Daffodil. D-A-F. It's the new head coach of the Giants. It starts
yeah.
Yeah.
So Brian Flores is like, damn, wait a minute. I ain't even interviewed for the job yet. They're gonna interview me already offering someone else the job. So he goes and completes the interview. And they spend, and at this point, everybody knows Bill Parcells quickly contacted his folks in New York. Hey, I messed up. I accidentally told Brian Flores that you guys offered the job to someone else. So they go through all the bells and whistles. They were taking them out. They were, just giving them 3 or 4 hour interview. All right. So just making them really feel like he truly had a chance. And clearly, he didn't get the job because a day or two later, it was announced that the dude that Bill Parcells said had already had the job. It was announced that he officially had the job. So he put out a class action suit against the Giants, and
Who is he?
Brian Flores. He put out a class action. It sure wasn't Bill Belichick. He put out
You're asking the audience to get somebody from the audience might have came in and not heard the other thing. So
I got you. Correct. Right, that's fair. So he's asking Brian Flores has created a class action suit against the Giants and the Denver Broncos because he also claimed back in 2019 when he was going through an interviewing process, he felt that he was just basically used as a token for an interview. You want to explain that NFL rule, Carlton, to let everybody know what that requirement is? It was a 20-year rule now.
Right. It's called the Rooney Rule, made up after Rooney, Art Rooney, who was the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Deceased owner. He's deceased now, yeah. Yeah,
but his Rooney's been in football since the beginning, and they made it a rule when back probably 20 years ago that you had to get a candidate of color a chance to interview before you go ahead and select your new coach. And as a result, if you do such, you know what I'm saying, we'll get certain incentives to you, things of that nature, but it was a requirement. You could not talk to anyone else unless you at least interview a person of color.
You could offer a job. You couldn't go and offer a job unless you interviewed at least one person of color. Yeah.
So what they was doing with that situation is now they were skimming over it. Saying they wasn't really interviewing. They did it by letter. Oh yeah, we're gonna interview them, but they already knew they wasn't gonna do it. So Brian Flores sued the NFL for labor practices.
So he sued the Giants, and then he sued Denver for discriminatory labor practices. Then he added Miami Dolphins to the lawsuit as well.
Yeah,
it gets better, guys. It gets better. So he adds Miami.
Go ahead.
He adds Miami Dolphins to the list because that owner was trying to incentivize him to lose games, so that way they can have a better position to draft at a higher draft pick. He was willing to pay him $100,000 for every loss just so they can lose games. So Brian Flores was like, no, I'm not doing that. I train and coach my team so they can, so we can be in a position to be the best that they can, and we can win games. How am I going to do that and then try to get them to lose games? Then I'm going to lose. They're going to lose. I'm going to lose the team's respect.
Who that person was? That was the guy who was the owner of the Miami Dolphins. A guy named Stephen Ross.
Stephen Ross,
rich dude from Detroit. You know what I'm saying? His net worth is $8.3 billion. You know what I'm saying? According to Forbes. You know what I'm saying? He's old money, but here he is trying to say he's the owner of the Miami Dolphins, and he's trying to tell him, hey, I need you to lose as many games as you can, and we're going to pay you $100,000 for each game you lose. And Brian was like, no, not doing it. Not doing that.
Yeah. And then it gets even better. Then, y'all know the whole Deshaun Watson situation, right?
They don't. You might have to explain it, but we ain't got that time to go through that. But
the whole Deshaun Watson situation. Well, Deshaun hasn't played at all this year, this past football season, and it was rumored in the middle of the season that Miami was on the cusp of trading for him. So the owner of the Miami Dolphins was trying to get Brian Flores to talk to Deshaun. Brian Flores was like, no, I can't, because the NFL rules prohibit him from talking to other players who are under contract with other teams. So the owner was like, well, hell, he's not going to do it. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to invite you to dinner on my yacht. So Brian Flores receives this invitation, goes to this owner's yacht, and guess who's on the yacht with the owner?
Deshaun Watson. They try every single time to get him out somehow, bro. And
then, so they fire him because he walked off the yacht. He wouldn't speak to Deshaun because, again, he's a man with high character, integrity, all that good stuff. So they fired him, and then they leaked out to the Miami Herald that one of the reasons why they fired Brian Flores was because he was uncooperative. He was difficult to work with.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, I hope he wins. I don't think anything will happen for it. Little thing about Brian Flores. Brian Flores grew up in Brooklyn. He's a Brooklyn dude. Very rough, very tough neighborhood. Took it, football did everything for him. Gave him the breaks that he did even for him he played a little bit in the NFL, not as he came up in the NFL.
Not an elite level, yeah.
Yeah. At the same time, he got into coaching. Went to Boston College. So you're talking about a very
great coach.
Yeah, great coach.
He learned under Bill Belichick.
Yeah, he's a disciple of Bill Belichick. With Bill Belichick for 10 years. Okay. Right. So, and you know how many all them championships?
He was a part of it.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So everybody that was on the tree, everybody that's a disciple of Brian Belichick is in the league and has a coaching job, except for the black ones. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so here's where I'm gonna connect this with Rosa Parks, right? So here's my issue. We all know that sports is a microcosm of society in general. What we just described here that happened to this coach, Brian Flores, happens in corporate America every single day.
And I don't even work in corporate America, so I know it. I know it does.
Yeah, but even in your profession, I'm sure you probably experienced some form of discrimination being a black man in the
Funny you would say that. I'm sitting here doing my show because, of course, I'm in Arizona right now. For those that just joined us late, I'm gonna have some business out here I need to be doing. But it reminded me of coming to I came to a title company one time, and this is before I'm at my favorite title company, Canyon Title, and my title lady will be joining us very shortly. But I was with another signing for a young lady that was getting a house. She was black. Her loan officer was black. You know what I'm saying? And then the agent that was selling the house was black. You know what I'm saying? So it was odd because in Arizona at the time there wasn't a lot of African Americans there. Right now it's a whole bunch, but right at the time it wasn't. And so everyone started looking at you funny because of the situation, like it was something wrong with the transaction because everyone that had to do with the transaction was black. Everybody just felt funny, but nobody did the same thing. It wasn't until afterwards everybody was like, "Man, do you feel funny?" Like everybody's watching us for some unknown reason. I was like, "Yeah," but I wasn't even gonna say nothing. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's crazy. That's going back like 10, 15 years. You know what I'm saying?
So hold on. Let me finish making my point about this whole Rosa Parks. At the end of the day, my point is, this really bothered me about this Brian Flores thing. It really bothered me because, again, if you're a black person in America, you've heard this story or been a part of this story at some point in your life,
Rosa.
Right? So we know these black coaches, they are being asked to be perfect in order for them to keep their jobs.
Well, how many coaches are black in the NFL, Roman?
Right now, one on your team.
What team would that be, Roman?
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
And that coach's name?
So my point is with this. Why can't we know this is screwed up. These billionaire owners will not ever change their hiring practices because all they care about is the money that they get. The NFL is like a $14 to $16 billion a year organization.
With 75% of
70% of the players there are black. And then there's only one coach that is black.
Now, to give them some break, 10 years ago, they was 7.
No,
okay, I don't
think it was. But the fact of the matter, my point is, we hold the power, just like Rosa Parks and our folks who Martin Luther King and the people who lived in that era. They sacrificed for a full year. They sacrificed for a full year by either walking, riding their bicycles, carpooling, going to work and going where they have to be without using public transportation until they got what they wanted. And guess what happened, black people? They got what the hell they wanted. So they fought, they sacrificed. But us, we let Kaepernick get thrown under the bus. We let this story keeps happening. It isn't Brian Flores.
Oh, I'm usually at odds with you as the story. I'm right with you. This ain't a moment in history because you have never, ever been on the same page I've ever been on. So I'm with you. Don't mess it up.
But my point is, when are we going to sacrifice the same way our damn ancestors did to get us to be able to do what we're doing here? We could have never had a podcast like this back in the 1960s or 50s when this happened.
So we need to get we need some of the players, some of the elite players in the NFL that are black to say, I'm not going to take the field if some things change. That's what we need.
Yeah. The reality though, see, with them, even though I agree with you, it is harder for them because that is their way of life. It's difficult to tell them to do that and they not get paid and they can't feed their families. They can't pay their mortgages. So it's difficult. It's you, me, and other people who look like us.
But it was difficult for the maid who couldn't afford to get to work any other way but to walk and had to get there on time and had to leave her family.
I feel you.
So
I feel
it's
you.
like
So
yeah.
my point is, it could be done by them, but my point is, no, it's time for us, and me included, to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, why are we? NFL is the most popular sport in America, right? We contribute to that crap, but yet they don't show us the respect as their fans, as black fans. They showed us that crap when it was Kaepernick kneeling because the police was abusing people who look like you and me or in our communities. But yet, we continue to support them like idiots.
Hold on 1 second. For those that are looking at the screen, you see a picture of a couple of Oakland Raiders kneeling. I think it's a game against the Redskins or Washington football team. I don't know when it was taken, but it was a couple of people kneeling. What I would love to do, if you can find that picture of Joe Namath kneeling at a game in the 60s.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I would like to find that picture of Joe Namath kneeling in the 1960s. That's my thing. You know what I'm saying?
So, hey, but you understand my point. My point is, there's not going to be change unless there's going to be some form of sacrifices.
Right.
So, but I mean, I talk to a group of people, group of my friends, mainly black guys, who were frustrated, expressing their anger. But I'm like, dude, stop bitching about it and start doing something about it. Aren't you going to watch the Super Bowl next week?
Yes, they are.
Okay, and aren't you going to be the one like itching for football to start when it's over, and then come July and August, when is training camp going to start?
Right, I'm with you, dog. I'm with you.
And again, I'm guilty of this too, but we need to put a stop to this. These black coaches are on their own, bruh. They can't do this alone because these billion-dollar owners.
But it needs to happen, and that's just not just football in every venue. I don't care if it's volleyball. I don't care if it's at work.
Bruh, you stop it in football, right? Just like you said, Mr. Historian, that boycott happened in Alabama. When they won, what happened? You told me the rest of the country.
Right.
So you go after the top, which is the football, right?
Go after the money. Go after the money.
Once they learn, oh shit, we better start treating these people with respect, treating these black folks with respect, and give them their rightly deserved due.
Right.
Or we're going to lose out on because we make up a lot of the money that, dude, I don't buy basketball or football paraphernalia, right? Because I think these owners be sticking it to us anyway. But if you really want, if this really upsets you, let's boycott the NFL, bro. I'm willing to do that. So that's my point. See, that's your look. So
I mean, it's easy for you people that don't like that never played sports that don't watch football. It's easy for you to say that, though.
It's sacrifice, bro. It's sacrifice. It's sacrifice.
Why don't we do something that you like, though? Like, how don't we stop sewing or whatever it is you do?
No. So first of all, there's nobody you know that's more of a bigger sports fan than I am. There's nobody you know that is a bigger sports fan that like all the sports. I'm such a competitive person. If you put two damn cockroaches out here, I'm gonna freaking to race. I'm gonna be right intent in watching it.
You're not bringing roaches to work, are you?
My point to you is to you and to all of our listeners. If I really want to make this these kind of changes, and if this bothers you the way it bothers me, make some real fucking sacrifices. Let's make some real sacrifices.
I agree with it. I agree with it.
Well, so don't look. Give me that look then when I say stop watching football.
Hey, I'm just giving you that look because we're running on time. We got another segment.
Yeah. You don't want to commit. That's why.
So I would take this time out. You know, let everybody know you're watching Always at Odds. This is our podcast. We're showing every Thursday. We have a guest going in the building because I have the privilege of being in Canyon Title Company, which is in Phoenix, which is in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I've got the world's most famous. There she go. Her name is Anya. That's Anya, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Anya's job is to. I'm gonna let her tell you what her job is, but
hello, Anya.
Hi.
Let's forget
it's
him.
Actually Anya.
Anya, look, he's told me the same. He told me the wrong thing, Anya.
No, it's okay. I let him call me Anya because it's like Anya, woo woo.
Woo! I like that. I like your energy already.
Yeah.
That's right.
So for those who
Hey,
don't
Carlton,
know,
why don't you move over to your left some,
Yeah,
man?
we're kind of
And
No,
let
no,
that
my
way
left
we
and
can
right
see
know each other.
Here we go.
Anya.
Is that better?
Yeah, much better. But Carlton, keep moving to your left until you're off the screen.
That's terrible.
So for those that don't know, I'm a real estate agent, and in the real estate agent we have it's really three parts. You got of a real estate situation. One of the major parts is the title company. The title company is like the neutral third party. They're the one who interpret the rules. They're the one that find out something's been wrong, something that has been done. And you cannot do a real estate transaction in most states without a title company, Arizona being one of those states. So I have the privilege of being around some great people in real estate, and one of the best title companies I ever been to in my life, Canyon Title, is Anya. She's a world knowledgeable person about real estate and rules and regulations. So I brought her here today to tell us what things that happen at a title company. So I'm gonna let her introduce herself because I'm also like butchering her name and all that.
Yeah,
Hi,
leave.
I'm Anya Lokai, and I'm one of the executive leads at Canyon Title. I've been in the real estate industry and all the different aspects of the real estate industry for about 27 years now. I actually started in the actual title search area. So what title does is they search all the records from previous owners on your property and make sure that there is no defect in title, so that way you can sell your property and ensure that your buyer gets a clean title. And what that means is that, like, let's say that there's a defect in title, there may be a situation where your buyer, after the transaction, does not own that piece of property if somebody made a mistake.
Is it like, let's say I heard of this one situation. Two brothers owned the house. They got into an argument or beef, and one of them hadn't seen each other for like 10 years. So one decided to sell the property, and he thought he can go sell the property without his brother. As a matter of fact, he didn't even tell him that his brother owned it.
Mhm.
That's something that you would find out that his brother owned. Is that what they call clearing the title?
Yep. So there's documents that are recorded with each transaction. People record things on their own too, which is never a good thing. And they file it with the recorder's office, and we find all of those records and any other records like HOAs, any kind of judgments that you may have a property where, in that same situation, let's say that the other brother took out a loan just in his name with a private lender and recorded a deed of trust. And so now those two sellers owe that money to that lender. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So we find out all that information and we disclose it to all the parties, so that way we can make sure that we have a smooth transaction.
Have you ever had a situation like that where somebody had, like, I don't know if it's true, but I heard somebody had sold a house, somehow it closed or whatever, and the original owner came and he's like, no one, this is still my house. And he told the people that was living in the house that they had to get out. They called the police, and he showed them paperwork that he owned that house.
Wow.
And they showed them paperwork that they own, but the new people had to go. I just
And they did have to go, and unfortunately that's why you get title insurance. So that's part of the transaction, that the seller purchases this policy. It's kind of like car insurance. And what it does is, instead of, like, car insurance covers you from that point forward, this covers you from the transaction back. So that way those that couple that bought that property could claim their claim against their title policy, because somebody obviously made a mistake along the way, right? And didn't find this information out, and it will cover their expenses up to the sales price. So they could technically be paid out the full sales price and move on to another property.
So title insurance is a good thing. Good thing.
It is a good thing, not only for the buyers, but for the sellers, because, like, let's say you own a property and you don't know that there's, in some point of that chain, that somebody deceived somebody, or they did a quick claim deed when they didn't have the authority to do so, which happened a lot during the recession, like all that crazy stuff.
For those who don't know, what's a quick claim deed? Can you tell me what that is, like, quickly, without, I mean,
Well, you just stopped my story.
I'm sorry.
Hey, I get that all the time. He doesn't listen. He's too busy wanting to speak and get to the next question. Finish your thought, please.
Go. Let's be quiet, Roman. Go ahead.
So yes, so somebody during that chain did a quit claim deed. It's not called a quick, like not fast. It's quit, as in stop. And what that does is it says that the person that owns the property now quits any claim to that property. And I don't ever suggest that people do those. In the state of Arizona, it's better to do warranty deeds, which warrants certain things that are also tied to the property, such as if there's mineral rights and stuff like that, that transfers over and you warranty over that those things transfer over. Okay. But what I was telling you about the policy is it also helps the seller, because you as the seller, let's say somebody quit claimed, you know, there's a lot of fraudsters out there. They used your name fraudulently, you know, signed some documents that you didn't sign, and come to find out you don't really own that property and you just sold it to somebody, and they come to you and they're like, hey, that, you know, that's my property, or I want my money. So
Gotcha.
as a seller, that insurance policy also covers you, because you don't have to fork out the money. You can tell them, hey, I purchased you a title policy, go to the title company and make your claims.
So quick question for you.
Yeah.
What happens? Will the title company have to be notified if someone wants to add someone to the deed? They don't.
Yes.
Yeah. So the title company, that has to go to the title company as well.
So yes. So there's a lot of times people add other people to a deed, and then as long as the original person still stays in the deed, then the title policy stays in place. But let's say you added somebody to the deed, like let's say you have a wife, she didn't qualify for the loan, so she couldn't be on the title policy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then later on you added her to the deed, and God forbid you should pass away, there's no more title policy. It's over.
Oh, it's over. Okay. Yeah.
It's over. So you can actually go in. That's why it's good to go to a title company, especially the title company that you did your initial transaction with, because they can issue an endorsement. It's kind of like an endorsement policy, like adding a window coverage to your insurance, right? So they add the coverage for your wife to be on that title policy. Oh,
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So just adding her to the deed wouldn't be enough.
Well, a lot of people do it, but it's not enough, just in case something happens, right?
Right.
So you always want to protect your family, and this is the best way to do it on the buyer side and the seller side.
Got it.
I had a story happen, a true story. A buddy of mine was married for years, and he got away. He took his name off the deed because he wanted to go buy other properties, but he didn't want to have to pay an investor's price. So he wanted to get it as a first-time home buyer. So he's trying to cheat it and say he took his name off his house, and then he'd go buy another house, and only have to put down 3% as opposed to putting down 10%. And so that's what he was doing. He forgot that he had took his name off the deed. Him and his wife ended up getting a divorce. And so they came to the stage, like one wanted to sell and one wanted to keep the house. And so the guy was like, nah, I'm not going to sell. And the lady's like, we going to sell. I can't afford it. And so he's like, nah, well, you can't sell the house without my permission anyway, so it doesn't even really matter. So whatever. And so, everything went on. Lo and behold, the guy's house got sold because he forgot to put himself back onto the deed of the house. And so she got to take all the proceeds from the house. So she sold the house without him, took all the proceeds, and didn't tell him. You know what I'm saying? Does stuff like that happen?
Yes, that stuff happens all the time.
Really?
And like with deeds with siblings, and the such, it happens all the time where people just forget. And that's why it's good to keep track of which title company that you've used, have them prepare and record any deeds that you want done, have those endorsements issued. That way you're always covered.
What about I got a piece of property. My grandmother had bought some land and back in 1940s. And so they was telling me we just found out we had this land. I was trying to find out if I could build a house one day on it. It's on the water, and they said that they would have to actually go down to actually get the deed of the house. They had to go to the courthouse and pull the physical deed, because it was before microfiche, I guess.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But because of COVID, they wouldn't allow nobody to come into the building.
I actually, so just to kind of, not to spit out any familial business, but I have a family member that's in that same situation where they had a property that was cut, parceled out into separate different properties. Some got sold, some didn't. Nobody could keep track of anything. The deeds were so old that the family had to go in, hire an attorney. An attorney had to walk into the court, the court, and the recorder's office to get these documents, and it took a really, really long time.
Right.
Wow.
And so, we're actually still working on getting, figuring out the right way to sell this property, because the heirs of this property, some of them are deceased. We can't verify information and the such. So, I mean, it's great that we have the technology now that we can have everything online, and pretty much everything is available as long as it's in, public records. But, those older deeds, and that's where you can get in trouble too, is let's say, that there was a deed that was missed, or a deed that wasn't recorded correctly, or look, there's on the deeds, a lot of times people prepare their own deeds, which is so ridiculous to me, because they don't know what really needs to be in there. And on a legal description, all you have to do is miss one word, one number, and it records on a completely different property.
Yeah, like, if for those that don't know, like when you're looking at the legal description, if your house is 112 Main Street, you know what I'm saying, you would think that the deed that says that. The legal description it doesn't say 112 Main Street. It'll say a whole bunch of sub letters, you know what I'm saying, plain old D, X58, 4832, you know what I'm saying? It'll have,
Wow. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not 112 Main Street. You would
That's
think.
right.
Let me ask. Go ahead.
And the reason that they do that is because there's so many times that you can actually change your address, right? They can come in, the Postal Service will come in and they'll rezone an area, put a new street in, and now your address is different, but your legal description will still be the same.
That's crazy.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. So you mentioned insurance. Now, just for my clarification, probably a bunch of our viewers. That's different than mortgage insurance. Title insurance is different than mortgage.
Title insurance insures the property from any defects on the actual physical site of the property. Got it. Not physical defects as in like the roof is breaking down, but defects in the chain of title and ownership of the property.
And what's and I don't know if it's a dumb question, but what's the typical cost for like title insurance?
Well, we can say that title insurance and escrow fees are usually based, especially in Arizona, and in a lot of states, it's based on the amount of the sales price. So you can't really just estimate. But there's fees that get split between the buyer and the seller. So usually there's an escrow fee and it gets split 50-50. Then the lender requires their own insurance policy for the mortgage, right? To make sure that they're in first position, that there's no other mortgages on the property. And that's why you'll see lender's title insurance. And then there's the owner's title insurance, which usually in the state of Arizona gets paid by the seller. But everything in a contract is negotiable in the state of Arizona. So like if the buyer wants to pay for those fees, if that's part of your negotiations, then that can happen. So on a typical like $200,000 $200,000 price, it's usually about, I would say, less than $2,000 for that title policy. But it's not a reoccurring fee.
It's a one-time.
For it once. It's one time, and it covers you for as long as you don't deed yourself off the property, right?
Yeah.
Or till the property is demolished, or you sell the property.
Yeah. So Carlton, as you know, I live in Maryland, and you help me buy my last house, I don't know if I even had title insurance on my contract.
You do.
And so to that end, if you don't have title insurance at the time of the sale or purchase of your home, is it too late, or is this something that you can go and get afterwards?
There are things that you can do to make sure that you get it afterwards. It just covers the property. They'll charge you for any searches that are done, and then they can issue you a policy.
But you do, that's the FYI, you do have it on. I always check my clients to make sure that they have that.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's good to keep those records. So make sure that, like with Carlton, I'm sure he has your records too. If you want them resent to you again, it's good to keep that on your computer somewhere, because
I have keys to his house. I mean,
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? His wife loves me. She said, "Carl, take the keys, because my husband's an idiot." You know what I'm saying? So if they ever need stuff to come in there,
He's talking about the wrong client. He's talking about the wrong client. I don't know what client he's describing.
Looks just like you, from. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and I don't know whether your wife is on title. Is his wife on title?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's on title.
Okay.
Wasn't
So-
for his wife, they wouldn't have the house.
Probably.
Yeah,
probably.
okay.
And that kind of happens sometimes too, right? So
Don't listen to that. Nut.
it's always good to keep those documents in I say on my computer. I keep it in my, like, a special storage spot in my email for my transactions, so that way I can, and I usually name it, especially if you're like a real estate investor and you plan on buying more than one house. It's good to like have a folder for each house.
Yeah.
So that way all your docs are in one spot.
Yeah.
Everybody,
I got another question. Hold on. I got another question.
Okay.
see, Roman doesn't understand a lot of things. He's always going to ask questions. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's good.
Because I'm inquisitive. So, what recourses does a person who is buying a home have if they didn't, if title insurance wasn't included in the initial sales price or initial process of buying the house,
Mm-hmm.
and then later find out that their property doesn't really belong to them? What
Right.
recourses like would I have if that scenario happened to me?
You don't really have much. You have to go to court.
Right.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to go to court, and then at that point, you can be charged for all the time for the actual owner. You can be responsible for all of their fees, legal fees, if they find out that you purchased the home erroneously. There's a lot of things that can happen. So it's always good to have title insurance. And that's one thing that in some states, they have made title insurance optional. Here, I'm doing optional. Optional, right? And so I've actually had a dad was selling his house to his daughter, right? And he went up and down and he said, "We don't need any title insurance because I own the property." And I'm like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And so when she goes to sell the house later on, are you going to insure that transaction and make sure that, that there's no defect in title and that there aren't like a whole bunch of judgments there and the such? And he's like, "Well, no, that would be her business." And I'm like, "Well, that's why you want to make sure that you
Right.
purchase that insurance policy for her, so that way she can, she can be safe to say that she can legally sell that property." Right.
Yeah.
I am floored by all of this. So I go through a buying process.
Mhm.
I'm not a subject matter expert on this. I hire a realtor or a real estate agent like Carlton. He then brings me to you,
Right.
hypothetically speaking, right? And I'm entrusting you and Carlton to make sure when I sign my name on that dotted line that I am purchasing a property that I can claim as my own.
Right.
And then you're telling me that there's a chance still, after I've entrusted two subject matter experts in their fields, that the property still might not be mine. That floors me.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Because people make mistakes. We're all human.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Let's say someone erroneously did something wrong, and it got past the next person that was supposed to catch that. You know what I'm saying? It's the end of the day, and it's like, "Oh, is that a 3 or it's 8? Oh, it's an 8. Okay, go." And then it goes on. You know what I'm saying? when in actuality that becomes a snowball effect. Now other stuff is happening. That's not your property. You know what I'm saying? But the paperwork says it was your property. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy. So and then I have no recourses to come. I especially would have come after Carlton, but not even the title company.
Definitely go after
You
Carlton.
can sue. I mean, a lot of times title companies get sued. We get realtors get sued. You know, brokers get sued. It has nothing to do with the whole transaction. That's normal because a lawyer will sue everyone involved with the process. That's what. Whoever. I got sued one time. Just quick story because we got ready to get out of here. I got sued. Well, I got sued. It didn't go through, but I had sold a condo to an investor. Okay.
Right.
So everything was done. And so the investor said, if you know somebody that's looking for a house, you know, saying the one to rent it, let her know. I said, will do. Just so happens I saw a lady the next day, got to talking. She's still looking for a place to stay. Hey, I know somebody that just bought a condo, and I gave her number. You know what I'm saying? Call her, blah, blah, blah. I don't do rentals as a rule, so I didn't do the rental transaction for this one. They did an agreement between themselves, and she moved in. So a year later, I think a scorpion, if we was in Arizona, a scorpion bit the lady, and she wanted to sue the owner, okay? And so she went and got a lawyer, and the lawyer sued everyone involved with the transaction, and he erroneously put me and my broker in that because he thought that we did the rental part of the contract. So my broker calls me the next morning, heated, talking about, I can't find the paperwork for this lady. You got what's going on? I was like, well, relax. One, I said I didn't do that transaction. All I did was get a lady her phone number. That wasn't my client. He said, what? I said, yeah, all I did was give her a letter. Hey, call this lady. I know she got a house. You know what I'm saying? And they called her. He said, oh, could you call the lawyer and tell him that? So I called the lawyer that was suing us. I told him the situation. And he just barely like, oh, yeah, that's wipe your name off. You're good. You know what I'm saying? But if it was, they'll try to get you. You know what I'm saying? So, you know.
Yeah. So I don't know. Listen, I appreciate that. I did not know a lot of this stuff.
You don't know a lot of
property for a while.
Roman has a 40 IQ, so you know people 40 IQ. He got a 40 IQ. I've been around him,
and he has a gut like he's been drinking a bunch of 40s. So.
That's right.
Ask him what come after 7. I bet she can't tell you. What
comes after
7? What comes after 7? What comes after 7?
What is this? What is it coming upside down?
Oh my God!
I'm sorry. I'm being. We can't show our guests see. How retarded you could be.
No, we can't even say retarded these days. Challenge.
Yeah, I know. You got to take that.
I'm my bad. I apologize. I don't want to get any calls and contacts. That was a slip of the tongue. My apologies.
Call Roman. Hey, y'all, we got to get ready to go.
Look, your number's the one who's published on the box.
I ain't doing nothing wrong. We'll show them the broadcast. Hey, y'all, I appreciate y'all watching. Anya,
thank you.
I'm going to say it now. How you correctly say? I butcher people's name all the time. How do you say your name, Anya?
Anya Lokai from Canyon Title Agency of Arizona, and I would love to be like a semi-regular guest on your show.
You can.
We can have more questions.
Because I'm about to be in Arizona much more in the wintertime. Mm-hmm. It's too cold.
I have a bunch of questions, so I'm sure our listeners got a bunch of some.
Well, you have my email, contact, and my phone number. Right. Awesome. Give me a jingle. I actually in my past experiences have been a national escrow officer. So I've worked in a lot of different states, and I've worked with a lot of attorneys in the states that you need attorney representation as well. So give me a jingle. If I don't know the answer, I know where to find it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. It's been great talking to you.
Likewise.
All right. Yeah. Hey, John. Hey, Rob, we got to get out of here.
You know no worries. Hey, Frank, we good, man. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate y'all. Love you, Facebook. Love you on social media.
Yeah. Peace, y'all.
And don't forget, boycott the NFL.
Well, we're going to talk about that one first. You know what I'm saying? That's my love right there. It's always the one that don't do sports the one to boycott.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Hey, y'all, we out at 5,000. They even say that anymore? No. I guess not.
All right.
All right, y'all. Y'all be easy.